similar to the people that we were back in our history in that time. And those people are getting ready to discover energy. They're discovering fire, and they're discovering how to, well, they wouldn't have been discovering oil 100,000 years ago. But just bear with me with forget the timing I just said. But they're just getting ready to tap into oil. They're just getting ready to tap into coal. And you're there. And now you're from, let's say you're from the future Earth, where we figured out how to no longer use those things, right? Mm-hmm. So now you say to this future Earth, you say, wait a minute, guys, before you start using that, why don't you try this? Because we tried that, and it messed up the environment a lot. We had a lot of cleaning up to do after we were using that. So use this. Sounds like a Seinfeld bit, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Right. I like that
bit. but anyway, so we didn't have that luxury here on planet Earth as we were developing ourselves and trying to figure out, what's the best. Here's a better way to do that. Here's a better way to do that. We had fire, we had wood, and somebody, Uncle Jed discovered oil coming out of the, black, whole thing. Mm-hmm. But we didn't have any. We didn't have any guardian from another planet telling us, here's what you should do instead of that. We didn't have that.
Right.
But we sort of have it now. But old habits die hard. It's hard to change your mind about something that was working. But we have people constantly reminding us that maybe there is a better way. And Michelle Nijhuis is on the phone, and it sounds like she's going to give us some of those ideas. Like she's the lady from the future who's telling us, there might be a better way to do this. She's an award-winning writer for sure on science and the environment. She's a 2-time winner of the AAAS/Kavli Science Journalism Award. She'll explain what that is in a bit. She's a contributing writer for the Smithsonian, for National Geographic. She's a co-editor of the Science Writer's Handbook, and she's going to talk to us right now about coal and answer this question: can coal ever be clean? And I got a story to tell her about an author we had some years ago, who that was the entire book was about clean coal.
Yeah.
Michelle Nijhuis. Good morning, Michelle.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. I like the sounds of being the lady from the future.
Yeah, you are the lady from the future. Where are you right now?
I'm on the West Coast. I'm in Washington State.
No, I meant what year are you in? No, I'm teasing. So thank you for being getting up early.
Sorry, got confused with space and time there a little bit.
Well, thank you for being on the air with us. Yeah, I guess if we had a guardian the entire way we were developing, we might have done things a lot differently, but we didn't have that luxury.
Right. Yeah, and we discovered coal. We discovered that coal produces a lot of heat, and it produces a lot of power, and it brings us all kinds of benefits, but it also comes with some really serious problems. And not too long after we discovered all the benefits, we started complaining about it because it was polluting our cities so badly and, causing all kinds of other problems that we've continued to find out about.
But I want to tell you something that we learned from another author who was talking about pollution in Native America before the Europeans got here. There was pollution from burning wood, too.
Oh, sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So even that, it was like, what do? You can't burn anything, apparently.
Yeah, and almost every source of energy I can think of has some downsides. Solar panels cover a lot of surface area. But coal is especially problematic because not just because of air pollution and safety problems and all of that. What is going on here? But because it has such a huge carbon footprint. So it's responsible for such a huge proportion of our greenhouse gas emissions that we committed to it. Like you said, we committed to it a long time ago, and we can get off it, but not tomorrow. So we need to figure out a way to at least soften some of its impact on the climate.
Okay, and regarding coal, is the solution filters?
The best solution that we have right now, and it's not. I emphasize it's only a partial solution, and along with it, we need to invest in renewables and improve efficiency and all that good stuff. But the partial solution is carbon capture and storage, which means, separating the carbon dioxide from all the other stuff that, you produce when you burn coal, and compressing it and storing it underground. And it sounds like science fiction, but the country's invested billions of dollars into learning about this technology, researching this technology over the last 20 years, and scientists and engineers actually know a lot about it. And they're saying, we've tested this at small scales, we've tested it at bigger scales in some cases, and we need to start using it commercially and learning about it, perfecting it.
Using it commercially, and that's where I know we're going, because your publicist, Dan Todet, kind of explained this to me. So there's a byproduct of burning coal that can be used in construction, is that right?
Well, carbon dioxide, it can be used in construction. It can be used, we all know it can be used in carbonated beverages, but we're producing way too much CO2 for those, than for those small markets, those purposes. So we need to store some of it underground if we're going to make a dent in the carbon problem. Okay,
so I misunderstood. I thought there was a physical byproduct that could be mixed in or something to concrete or something like that. Maybe I misunderstood. So you're saying it's the gas, the same gas that's in our sodas?
Yeah, the same gas that's in our sodas is what, the carbon dioxide emissions of coal is a big part of what's causing climate change and climate disruption, as some people like to call it. So that's what we need to stop emitting so much of into the atmosphere.
But isn't that what's emitted from vehicles as they're driving down the road? Because you'll hear people...
Monoxide, right?
Oh, is it monoxide? Oh, okay, then I have it wrong, so I'll withdraw my statement then.
No, I'm just talking. I'm not correcting.
No, you're right.
Cars are another big source of carbon dioxide, and they're a problem too. But the good thing about tackling coal plants is you can get rid of take away a lot of carbon dioxide emissions at once instead of working car by car. But we need to clean up the carbon footprint of cars too. But coal plants are another big part of it.
But on Robin's point, is carbon monoxide a problem with coal burning, or is it just carbon dioxide?
Coal does emit a lot of nasty things, and we've done a pretty good job of cleaning up some of those things here in the U.S. We don't have huge smog clouds descending on our cities anymore like we did 60 years ago, but those problems are still big problems in other parts of the world. For this story, I traveled to China, and the photographer I worked with traveled to India and Australia and China as well. And they're not as far along in controlling the other pollution problems that come from burning coal. And you can see in the air how dirty coal power really can be.
Wow! And they haven't really been doing that for very long.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have grown so quickly in the last, they've been using coal power for a long, long time, but they've grown so quickly and they've added so much coal power in the last couple of decades that, it's really apparent. And, in spite of China's reputation as a repressive society, there's a really strong tradition of popular protest, and people are really good at complaining when a problem lands in their backyard. So Chinese citizens have been really up in arms about the air pollution in their cities.
So they've got a way to go. So when you talk about burying the carbon dioxide, I'm trying to imagine what this looks like and how massive it would be. You're saying bury the gas. What kind of a effect would that have?
Yeah, it sounds crazy, doesn't it? The gas is compressed. And this is being done. This has actually been done for 50 years in old oil fields, but this is being done for climate protection in several places at a really large scale. And what's done is that the gas is compressed and then stored underground in places where the geology is right for it. Like there are, big stable spaces underground that can hold the gas indefinitely. And the sort of horror movie scenario is that the gas would escape and poison everybody. That is, there's always a risk of anything, but the risk of that is so low that scientists really are not concerned about it. They're concerned about smaller leaks, and so they're looking really closely at those and seeing where the geology is the most promising, and how much and how long CO2 can be stored underground and so forth.
So is
it's working in several places. In Norway, there's a huge carbon storage project, and that has been going for a while with no problems.
So is it gas? Have they frozen it so it's like dry ice, or is it? Is it in containers? How is it stored there?
No, it's injected underground, so it's compressed gas, and it's injected underground, and like the geology in these places is like a sponge, so it's injected into these little pockets in the rock, and it stays there. And in some cases, over long periods of time, the gas turns into rock itself. So in which case it's completely safe, but in other cases it just stays there as compressed gas.
It turns into rock. Wow, that's fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty weird, huh?
Money sometimes is usually the motivating factor for companies to do things, even the politicians to do things. If there was a tax on businesses that they need, that they will be penalized if they don't try to clean up their own act, do you think that would ever help?
Yeah, I mean, the problem with these technologies, with these cleaner coal technologies, of course, coal is never going to be clean, but it can be cleaner. The problem with all these technologies is that they're not free. They're complicated. I'd be the last person to say that we know everything we need to know about them. So no coal company is going to stand up and volunteer to install them. They cost money, and they make coal plants less efficient. So what's needed, I think, is some kind of legislation or regulation, some kind of price on putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere that will induce companies to invest in these technologies. And then, like I said, we can learn, if we start installing them on a commercial scale, we can start making a dent in the carbon problem and start also improving these technologies so that they are cheaper and more efficient. That's what we saw when we solved the acid rain problem in the 90s. As soon as there was a rule, as soon as there was a law that required coal companies to clean up their contribution to acid rain, there was a ton of innovation, and these technologies got cheaper.
Yeah, makes sense.
So
I guess I learned something today, and I don't know that I'm the only one, but I never knew that burning coal formed carbon dioxide. I guess I just never knew that. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever said it that way before. I mean, I knew there was a lot of carbon, and the argument has always been, and I don't have enough knowledge to know how to debate this, but the argument has always been that plants breathe in carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. So that's the solution from some callers. Some listeners will call in and say that now and then. What is the truth on that?
Well, the problem is that we have so skewed the balance of, we've so loaded the atmosphere with carbon dioxide that it's way more than plants can take up. Ideally there's a balance in the atmosphere, and by burning coal and driving cars and doing all kinds of other things that emit carbon dioxide, we've overloaded the atmosphere with carbon dioxide. So that's what's causing climate change, and that's what scientists say will lead to all kinds of crazy weather, much like the crazy weather we've been seeing over the last couple of years that everyone's been experiencing.
You think years ago that a coal, whoever had, like my grandmother had coal delivered to her house because that's the way she heated it, and that was in the 1950s, and then right after that they made moves, but every time they used the coal, they would go there and they would clean out the chute, and then they would clean out the furnace, and then they would put in the new kinds of coal. So it seemed like everybody seemed to be happier then because everybody took care of their own maintenance.
So you mean it was just used at a smaller scale back then? So
right, exactly, for individual homes, and nobody died from that, those emissions or anything because they took care of the cleaning themselves.
Well, I think there was still a lot of, there's a lot of soot being pumped out of the smokestacks, out of people's chimneys. And, for many years, I lived in western Colorado, a coal mining town, and for a long time I lived in a house that had a coal furnace, and I shoveled coal into the boiler in my house. So I know what that's about, and I also remember how strongly our whole little town smelled of coal smoke. So you know that there's pollutants in the air that everyone, I guess what I'm saying is that everyone's individual coal system in their house, it emits a little bit of pollution, and that pollution adds up to a lot that can really have an effect on people's health over the long term.
Oh, yeah.
So what percent of the air we breathe is carbon dioxide, and is that number greater now than when we were kids?
Yeah, it's a lot greater now. It's been increasing faster in the last few years than it ever has in, as far back as we can reach into the history of the planet. So it just crossed a big, significant boundary of 400 parts per million, which is a measurement that scientists use for measuring the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. And 400 parts per million has them really worried. There was a big scientific society that just last week came out with a report saying, or just a few weeks ago came out with a report saying, we're about 30 years away from basically busting the carbon budget of our planet. We've really got to stop overloading the atmosphere with carbon dioxide and cleaning up our act.
Okay. Our guest is Michelle Nijhuis, and we're asking the question, can coal ever be clean? And it sounds like there's a way to take the carbon dioxide that is a byproduct of coal burning and inject it under the Earth's surface, and therefore reduce the amount of carbon dioxide that coal plants anyway are putting into the air. And we're doing it here, you said, or some countries are doing it. Who's actually doing it this way now?
Well, Norway is a good example because they do have a carbon tax. So they have a price on carbon in Norway, and a large energy company in Norway, because they didn't want to pay the carbon tax, so they had a financial incentive. They built a carbon capture system for their power plants, and they're now storing compressed carbon dioxide actually under the ocean in the rocks under the North Sea. So they've been doing that successfully. There's also big carbon storage plants in North Africa and in Canada and Saskatchewan. And there's smaller ones all over the place.
Okay. Is there an article in National Geographic about this, or is there some place we can go to learn more?
It is in National Geographic on newsstands right now. There's an adorable hedgehog on the cover. And you can also see it online on the magazine's website, which is just ngm.com.
Okay. Michelle Nijhuis, thank you so much for being on the air with us today. And that's an interesting piece of information right there, that we can actually store it underground. And perhaps the Perrier water people will be interested in this, because they like to have naturally carbonated water.
Oh, that's right.
So there must be carbon dioxide getting into their water somehow. Right?
They'll love
I don't know how that happens, but it says on the bottle, right?
Yeah, it does.
From some place in France?
That's right,
I
exactly.
don't know. I don't know how that works. Michelle, thank you for being on the air with us today.
Thank you so much. Take care.
All right, we'll be right
Bye.
back.
You're listening to WOCA News Talk 1370, Ocala's source for what's happening in today's hottest, up-to-date news and topics.
Hey, it's Christy with Ocala Mac and PC Repair and Ocala Guest Wi-Fi to let you know we have you covered. We are the only local certified Apple and Microsoft computer company in Ocala. We are family owned and operated. From mobile repair to wireless networks, viruses, new systems, or security cameras, we do it all. Check us out online, ocalamacpc.com, or give us a call, 352-566-8324.
Tell them Nick, Madison, or Mason sent you and get free diagnostic.
Get your internet telephone service from the company that brought affordable internet service to Ocala in the first place. All Is Safe is a sister company of Ocala Guest Wi-Fi, a company you've known and trusted for all your internet needs. Whether you need a phone or hundreds, we've got the products and services to meet your needs both now and in the future. Our plans include everything from local and long-distance calling to equipment maintenance and even software upgrades. You can count on All Is Safe to give you cost certainty, knowing that your bill will be the same next week, next month, or even next year. Call 352-450-8647 today to learn how to cut your monthly telephone bill up to 60%.
Your home is safe, Or is it? AA Lock, Dock, and Security. The name has been a staple in Ocala since 1985. Do you have the right equipment in place to have peace of mind when you are at home or away? AA Lock, Dock, and Security has the right people to install and monitor your home or business. Call today for a free on-site security analysis. Call 867-1965. AA Lock, Dock, and Security, 219 Northwest 10th Street, 867-1965.
Your heating and air conditioning unit sure will get a workout this season, and you need to make sure it's in tip-top condition. Let Air Ducts Heating and Air give you that peace of mind by knowing your unit will work at its optimum efficiency, saving you time and money. Air Ducts is a full HVAC residential and commercial company. Air Ducts is family-owned and operated, so we treat you the way we want to be treated. Air Ducts also offers discounts for builders and commercial applications, so give us a call today, 352-304-6766. That number again, 352-304-6766. Air Ducts Heating and Air Conditioning.
Here are today's headlines from The Source. WOCA leaders within Florida's legal community are making a push to have more diverse judges on benches across the state. Eugene Pettis, president of the Florida Bar, recently appointed a task force that will examine different ways to increase diversity among judges. Statewide, 32 of 319 county court judges are African American and 26 are Hispanic. Out of 594 circuit court judges statewide, 26 are African American and 58 are Hispanic, according to the Florida Bar. Pettis said more can be done to ensure the judicial system reflects the community. Many Republican legislators commemorated the 4th anniversary of the Affordable Care Act on March 23rd by calling for its repeal. Senator Marco Rubio, a Republican from Florida, spoke out against the law in a video message to his supporters. Rubio said, quote, Obamacare is not something that's set in stone. It can be repealed, and Americans increasingly want it to be repealed, unquote. Many major pollsters include a question about repeal in their periodic surveys. Reports from the nonpartisan Real Clear Politics and the Conservative American Enterprise Institute don't match up with Rubio's claim, though. Real Clear Politics shows that in December of 2013, about 52.3% of the public favored repealing the law. Since 2011, that number hasn't wavered much. Real Clear Politics arrived at these figures by averaging reports from Quinnipiac, Rasmussen, Fox, and CNN surveys. A man's home may be his castle, but neighbors complain it often turns into a revolving door party palace when owners rent them out for short-term vacation stays. Until now, there has been little they could do. A 2011 law prohibits local governments from regulating, banning, or creating new rules about vacation rentals. However, the state Senate yesterday moved to ease the law, and the House is considering a similar bill. In 2013 alone, 17 million tourists in Florida opted for the home rental option and generated $31.1 billion to the Sunshine State's economy, according to a study conducted for the Florida Vacation Rental Managers Association. But cities say there is a downside. Officials say the commercialization of residential property is having a negative effect on neighborhoods. The Senate measure, which is Senate Bill 356, approved yesterday, would allow some local control, but not the ability to restrict frequency of rentals or require minimum stays of more than 7 days. The bill's sponsor is Senator John Thrasher, a Republican from St. Augustine. He said the new legislation is all about being fair. And the fight lasted an hour and a half as a student at Florida Atlantic University struggled to haul a 14-foot great hammerhead shark onto Broward County Beach. 22-year-old Victor Hlubin is a member of a group that catches sharks from the beach and then releases them alive, coming away with only photographs and videos. Hlubin caught the shark using kayaks to go far out to sea. They set out hooks baited with pieces of amberjack. They don't want to hurt the shark, they say, so they move fast once the shark is on the beach. They cut the line about 4 inches from the shark's mouth before letting it go. They used a circle hook, they say, which hooks the mouth rather than gut hooking the shark. It's made of non-stainless steel, which means it rusts out quickly. But Neil Hammerschlag, the director of the R.J. Dunlap Marine Conservation Program at the University of Miami, says that research shows the shark is most likely to suffer post-release mortality. A study by Hammerschlag and his colleagues used satellite tags to track 5 species of shark caught and released with circle hooks. They found the hammerheads were the most likely to die, with 53.6% of them still alive 4 weeks after being caught, compared to nearly 100% of the tiger sharks. And those are the headlines from The Source, WOCA 96.3 FM and 1370 AM.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-0075 and we'll come pick it up. For more information, visit ocalarestore.org. Habitat for Humanity of Marion County. Building homes, building hope, building community.
Look who just walked in the room. Joel Wiesner from What's Up Ocala. Hey, Joel, I'm looking for something to do this weekend. You got any ideas?
Absolutely. Check out our event calendar online at www.whatsupocala.com, and there is plenty of events there for you. Daily news updates to event reviews and magazine articles.
Really?
We've organized it all in one place online for you to cut through all of the hassle of finding something to do this weekend. We have a daily event calendar, a bi-monthly magazine, and we also do daily news articles.
All right, Joel, that's perfect. Thanks so much.
Yeah, whatsupocala.com.
Attention passengers for Flight 1370. The plane has been delayed at its departure point and will be at least 2 hours late. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Are you serious? It took us over an hour to get here, 2 hours going through security and getting our tickets, and now we have to wait another 2 hours.
Yeah, it's beautiful here, but we're inside this overcrowded airport all day because the plane is stuck in bad weather.
This is the last time we ever do this. When we get back, we're going to Ocala Aviation and getting our pilot's license.
Yeah, we've been talking about that long enough. It's about time we did it. Then we could just fly ourselves and never have to deal with this mess again.
Right. No long lines, no full body groping security, no baggage checks.
Not to mention never losing your luggage. Remind me again why we haven't done that?
Well, we're idiots.
Oh, right.
Attention all passengers for Flight 1370. It looks like the plane is going to be delayed a little bit longer. The airline has lost the pilot's luggage. Isn't it time you got your pilot's license? Call Ocala Aviation today. 352-861-7484. That's 352